Welcome to the Powerlifting Podcast. I'm EricCafferty, owner of the Mecca Gym. I am a strength and conditioning coach and a contest prep specialist. The focus of this podcast is to dive into the mindset and the drive of people who have done incredible things with their lives. Welcome to the Power of Lifting podcast, where we don't actually lift anything on here, we just talk about it.
Maybe we should probably do that.
I mean, eventually one of these days we should probably have some sort of lifting besides a shaker bottle in here, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And I'm happy about it, so we're good.
Good.
What about you, Hunter? How's your day going?
Oh, great. It's been a good day. Productive day.
It's been a good day. Productive day.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, today we have a special guest of sorts, our one of our very own. Definitely the weakest guy in the gym.
Oh, no.
Forever the weakest.
Forever the weakest guy in the gym.
Oh, right, to the pride.
Mr. Alex Mostacero, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Did I not jack up your last name?
No, that was right on. Mostacero, yeah.
Yes.
It is. It's pronounced exactly how it's spelled, too. Yeah.
Yes, it really is. Okay.
When I first saw it, I waited out a bit, and then Alex was like, dude, listen, chill. Like, it's literally just, you just say it as you read it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, for those of you that don't know, Hunter did spell it wrong on the snapper. I just had to point
Nobody's
that out.
going to see the snapper.
Right before this, he says
now
nobody's going to see it.
Show the snappers.
It's, it's all good. So... Yeah, so Hunter, what are we doing today on this here?
Well, obviously, we are talking to a very special man who's actually very strong, for those who don't know this guy. He's very strong. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about strength, building strength, powerlifting, especially because I think you, Alex, like to specialize in that.
Yes.
And help people, you know, reach amazing strength gains that they never thought they could do.
Oh, yes.
Being one of the passions.
All of the strength gains.
So kind of diving into that.
All right.
So, while I loudly chew on ice on camera.
Some ASMR stuff.
Yeah.
You're welcome. To everybody listening in headphones, they're like, oh, this is horrible. Stop listening now. No. Let's talk a little bit about you, Alex. Tell us a little bit about your past. Where'd you go to school? All that jazz.
You can leave the bad stuff out if you want to.
Oh, yeah. Okay, censored version. Gotcha. All right. So both of my parents were in the Air Force. I was kind of what brought that about. A little surprise action. But so we've pretty much been, if you know what I mean. So we've been all over the place. I mean, I hadn't really stayed in a specific area for like more than 3 years until I came to Idaho. So
dang,
it's just like boom, boom, boom.
So where are all the places you lived?
Yeah, let's hear a few of the good ones.
So the story begins in Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah,
Tinker Air Force Base. Oh yeah, Tornado Valley. So it was. I don't remember living there at all. Naturally, right. The next spot we were like New Mexico. From there, went straight to Aviano, Italy.
There we go.
Turkey. Back and forth from then on because I was about 13. My parents were like, all right, they're divorced, so they can go. I could go either way. So I just visited them wherever they were stationed at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. It was like a year or two at one spot, a year or two at the other one, and then so I got to see the world.
Yeah,
there's a pro to that.
Yeah, 13. But I would say I did not appreciate it at the time.
Yeah. Hindsight, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. But
what? Yeah. Just go to Paris like on a weekend. This is great. Or Venice.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wild. It was wild.
Do you remember so did you go to those places or not?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And do you remember
field trips?
Yeah.
Field to Venice.
Friggin' school in Venice.
Hop on the train and go straight down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Right on.
So grew up, parents in the Air Force, traveled around a lot. Where did you end up after high school?
So after high school, I basically came to Idaho around like 8th grade or so.
Oh, okay.
So all of that was like very fast. And then I was like, you know what, I'm done moving. So as soon as high school ended, I was like, I'm going to stay in Idaho. I'm going to go straight to University of Idaho. Go Vandals.
There it is. A little point of contention.
Oh,
Here we
yeah.
go.
I was like, it's coming in. It's coming in.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered here.
This is definitely. Is this the first Vandal we've had on the podcast?
Yeah, I believe so, actually.
Oh, man.
Unless other people didn't admit it. I don't know.
That's true.
Oh,
That
yeah.
definitely could be the case. I mean,
They're,
I would be slightly
they've been
ashamed
excommunicated.
myself.
Oh, boy.
They're done.
So, what was your major in college?
Exercise science. It was pretty much an emphasis. There we go. In health and human performance.
Health and human performance.
Yes.
There we go.
Kind of sounds like the field you're in right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Just a titch.
Crazy.
Just
Yeah.
a titch.
Crazy how that happens.
And were you did I hear that you were like the president of a fraternity or something like that? Oh,
Yes,
jeez.
back in the day.
What fraternity?
Pi Kappa Alpha back in
Okay.
the day. Yep.
Was it like, how does that, I don't know. How does that happen? Like, do you
Hunter
run
is
for it?
obviously not a frat boy.
No.
Got you covered. I'll give you the
Let me know how you
inside
become
scoop
that.
here. So,
Did they call you Mr. President? I need to know that.
oh
from you.
yeah, oh yeah, oh I got Mr. President. Yeah,
Of course you did. Why wouldn't you?
Prez, all of it. My name was pretty much non-existent. It was a great year. It was a great year.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but sorry. Yeah, how does that work?
So, pretty much there's an elected group of executives, right? Pretty straightforward voting process. Everyone gives their speeches. The whole chapter votes. Right. So, at the time, there was some pretty stiff competition. So, it was definitely one of the prouder moments because I really had to work hard to get there. I was like, always involved, always doing, all the community service hours, anything that I could possibly do to really get to that like level of like, all right, guys, I'm gonna take us in the right direction, right? Someone they view actually as like a leader, and to not lead from obviously the behind and be like, hey, here you go, delegate all this stuff all the time and that's it, and never be seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a really, really, really proud moment when they were like, you won, great, congratulations. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Was there like extra beer allotted to your consumption for that?
yes, you could say so.
Were you in charge
a lot of gifts.
the beer?
A lot of
lot of
gifts.
Yeah.
A lot of gifts.
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't
cool.
need to go into all
Yeah.
the gifts, but
Not all the gifts.
sounds
No,
like a good
sounds great.
accomplishment.
Was
So-
that like your first big leadership role? Or did you do
Yes.
anything in high school that was similar?
I mean, I was like class treasurer. But
There
that's
we go.
about
That's
it.
the big
That
leagues.
was number one.
voted most likely to succeed in the yearbook?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
That's a big deal.
Eventually gonna lift a dumbbell. Like, there you go.
Yeah. So when did you start weight training?
I started about 16 years old. So sophomore
16
year of high
years
school.
old. So where did it all begin?
I was this is actually funny. So I was a soccer player, right? That was my main sport. And I saw pumping iron for the very
Pumping
first time.
iron.
Yes.
Yes.
Been mentioned many a time on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, just the beginning of it all, right? You see Arnold and you're just like, all right, I'm ready to look like that.
Absolutely.
And who cares how long it takes, right? But that's kind of where it started. And then I was like, all right, I'm actually getting really, really good at soccer and pushing people around, right? Being a force on there after weight training for a little bit. So it just never stopped. Just kept going.
Cool.
Yeah.
So did you get into the strength aspect of lifting right away, or was that something that came on later?
Yeah, that was a little bit after training for years and years and years. Probably not until my sophomore year of college is when I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like picking heavy stuff up and putting it right back where I found it.
Yeah. So not all that long ago.
Yeah, not really. It was all more hypertrophy focused at
Gotcha.
that time.
Yeah.
Aesthetically
Mm-hmm.
speaking.
The vanity.
Yes.
So when did you do your first powerlifting meet? Was that summer of what?
2020?
2020?
I think so.
Yeah, summer of 2020.
I missed all the beginning of the COVID action, right? That was like
Yeah.
you barely snuck that one in.
Yeah, so you started working here, what, 19, mid 19,
I
end of
graduated
19?
at 19.
Yeah, so October, November of 19 probably.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. When he came here, he was just a wee lad.
What a
Wee
wee
lad.
boy.
Just a wee boy.
Look at the growth.
Yeah, I mean, you put like jeepers, man, like 150
gosh.
pounds on your deadlift or something
I don't
since you've been
even
here.
know. Yeah.
Good gracious.
Something
Yes.
like that. What were you
Really.
pulling? I remember I was like squatting like 400 something one day, and you're like, "Oh, that's so much," and I was like, "Dude, no, it's not."
If you're gonna stay here, you're gonna need to.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna need to change this.
Get you right, yeah.
Yep. Insert Perry, and the rest is history.
That's all we needed right there.
And
Perry.
a good hefty amount of hazing. Yeah.
Seriously. Like he did to me yesterday. Again, it still happens.
Yeah, it still happens.
What are you gonna do?
So tell us a little bit about your goals, both with training and with competing yourself.
So with training and coaching, right?
Yes.
My main goal for sure is to just to continue accumulating like knowledge, right? Like that's the name of the game. As far as like from a standpoint of creating like a team of power lifters, that'd be absolutely awesome. I mean, our team is pretty much expanding like week to week at this point, so very lucky to get those different experiences and really be able to help other people, reach those massive levels of strength that they're just like, wow, I was thinking about this when I was 12. I never thought I'd be able to deadlift 600 pounds, like that kind of stuff, right? So, and then personally, I want to make it to nationals and then be competitive at that level.
Yeah.
Right. So, hopefully, place
competitives and the good old 105s.
105s.
What a division!
Yeah, it
is quite the division. Yeah. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you. Eric knows.
Just like there's a couple of guys that I'm like, just go up to 120s.
Yeah.
You won't be missed.
You won't be missed.
We know you're strong. We get it.
Move on. You don't belong here anymore.
Oh yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how you've kind of progressed since being at the Mecca. What are some of the things that you focused on working on in terms of both refining your craft as a coach and as a lifter?
So I've been super lucky. I mean, I pretty much tell everyone this to even be involved in this environment because from the very beginning, of course, we went over a lot of technique. I had just been like squatting in here, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like, this is just a mess. This is a mess. So is my deadlift and my bench. So I definitely reached out to everybody and was just like, hey, can you check out my technique?
Please watch me.
Yeah, the humbling moment of like, I know what you're gonna say. Okay, this isn't awesome, but really just started there. And I remember taking videos on videos of just like every single time analyzing.
Yeah.
After those first kind of introductions, I mean, from you, Marlon, really you and Marlon were the two that were just like, hey, we're gonna get you fixed up here.
Yeah.
So
you're embarrassing us.
Yes,
come here, let us teach you something.
Yeah. Have you done this before? Like,
I'm sure it wasn't all that bad.
You'd be surprised.
I want to see the videos. Can you submit these videos?
They're in the
share
cloud
them with the world.
Yeah, they're in the cloud. If the cloud gets leaked, I mean,
yeah,
we're screwed. I think everyone has a little bit of. It's going to be highly unfortunate.
I have no dirt in the cloud. Okay, there's got to be something.
There's something out there.
That's a jinx right there. That's dangerous.
But yeah, so how is that translated into you being a better coach?
I think really just kind of knowing how to approach certain individuals on a specific basis of like, okay, your biomechanics look this way. This is what we're going to fix. This is what we're going to adjust. And then also just like not hammering them with a million different things at once.
Yes.
Right? Coming up with those simple ways, because that was the most difficult thing that I think I had to figure out was, oh yeah, let me tell you how to, externally rotate and, supinate the wrists or whatever, using the actual...
the textbook verbatim.
Yeah, everything you read in the textbooks, you're like, oh yeah, this makes 100% sense to me. But how am I going to transform that and make it
you've also been to school for 7 years.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my
gosh.
Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, that in essence is like the art of coaching people, right? It's being able to take that knowledge and communicate it in a way that's digestible and understandable to the individual, because if you can't do that, the knowledge that you have is essentially useless, right? So, giving people the right cues, maybe explaining that to them in a way that they will understand. The same cue doesn't work for everybody, just like the same technique doesn't work for everybody. You might say externally rotate, and they might not understand what that means, and so you have to say, pretend like you're, doing XYZ, and they're like, oh yeah, okay, different things like that. So yeah, totally see what you're saying.
That's cool. Wait, when was it that you wanted to be a coach? Because like it wasn't that long that you got strength training, but I mean you were lifting for forever. But when was that?
So initially, in college, I started out as an ME, mechanical engineering.
Ah.
Yep.
Oh.
I went all the way through to my sophomore year, almost the end, as an ME, and I was like, something doesn't feel right about this. I don't think I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. And I had still been lifting, still been like literally deep into exploring different ways to how to get stronger, how to get bigger, like all these different things. And I was like, I feel like I'm spending more of my time doing this than I am actually like wanting to go to physics 3 and like all this other stuff. I was just like, I don't want to do that anymore. So made the switch, and then initially I already knew that I wanted to do coaching of some sort after that. Immediately after that, I was like, it'll either be at the Division I level or whatever it may be, team sports, that kind of deal. Got some experience with the team sport action, and I realized I was like, okay, more individuals for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I feel like you're able to give that one person all your attention and see everything in that.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually that you bring that up, because I feel like a lot of people that go into kinesiology, they do it because they want to like coach athletes or like, coach at the team sport level, right? They want to, do strength and conditioning for the football team or, whatever, right? Exactly. That's why a lot of people get into that field. And, I can't say that I was that much different. Like I totally, when I was getting into it, I'm like, oh yeah, coach college athletes, like that wouldn't be too bad. Although it wasn't really something that I wanted to focus on necessarily. But man, after having some experience doing that with some of the college athletes, I'm like, dude, what a bunch of freaking babies. I'm like, dude, like prima donna central. It's like, dude, you play football at Boise State, you're not making millions of dollars, like quit being an asshole. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's not everybody, like I don't want to label or anything like that, but and then aside from that, coaching like teams, like you don't even really feel like you're coaching necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're kind of like trying to herd cats.
Seriously. Is everybody paying attention? Are we good?
Yeah.
It's almost like, what did somebody describe, especially the professional level, like basketball, like a head coach for a basketball team is a personality, like balancer, not a coach. Like it's all about keeping personalities at check and relationships.
Read John Wooden's book.
John Wooden. Yes. Top-notch man, right?
Top-notch, yeah. But, I feel like, at the team sport level, you're just not able to... You're still not able to really give the knowledge that you have because, like, what you learn, whether it be, at the pinnacle of your undergrad or especially once you get into a master's program, is you really start learning, like, specifics of joint mechanics and, like, anatomy and how to adjust for particular, different, say, hip socket orientation, bone lengths, things like that. Right. And when you're coaching at like a team, like you're still just spewing out this general information. Yeah. So you can never really get specific because, you're just going to start losing people. You say, this is how you squat, and this is just kind of how you do it. Yeah. And if you're like, well, okay, raise your hand if you have long femurs, and everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
My mom likes to tell me I have a long femur.
Yeah. Right. But seriously, and it's like you start losing people. Like it just, you know what I mean? Like you lose,
they're not paying attention.
You lose the crowd. Yeah. They're over there talking about, the dates they're going to be going on or whatever, and you're up there nerding out about,
seriously,
doing a squat correctly. And it's just, it doesn't have that personal feel, which sucks because, so take my wife for example, she ran D1 track at Wichita State, and like the strength and conditioning stuff that they had her do, was the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. So many times, it was
atrocious.
It was just atrocious.
No.
There's not a better term. And yeah, I remember on one of our first dates, we went and met down at the Boise State Rec Center. She took me for a run. My feet went numb. I almost died. Back then, I didn't do a lot of cardio. And then we go in to lift, and I'm like amped up because my feet were killing me from running, because I did not. She said like jog to warm up. It was like miles, and which she probably anyway. We go in the gym, and I'm like, I'm gonna crush this leg workout, because I'm so ticked off that I'm in such terrible shape, and my
got to be
feet are
redeemed.
killing-
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Like, I will not have my man card stripped away. I will show no pain.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, crushing the leg press or whatever, and I look over, and she's doing this like, I don't even know, dude. Like,
It's just
like
doing something
some
with
Y's or T's or some doing the friggin' alphabet with the dumbbells. I don't know. And I'm sitting there on the leg press, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, dude, what in the heck is going? Yeah, I feel like I need to have an intervention. And that's what
exercise.
And that's what happened.
And that's like, dude, what the heck? College strength and conditioning coaches, like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you went to a good track program, and they're telling you to eat cereal and do freaking the alphabet with your dang dumbbells. I'm like, this is ridiculous, So anyway, I digress. Coaching at the team level, to me, just has never been... Like, I love having a team.
Right.
But I love working with people on an individual basis to give them very specific cues on what they need to do. And that's kind of the problem with, like, coaching to a lot of people, or, like, kind of creating learning content for groups. It's like, well, there's a million different factors that we're taking into place. Right. Like, do you have, an anterior rotation in your shoulder joint and thoracic kyphosis? Well, we need to fix that before we get to the fact that you can't, hit depth and not posteriorly rotate your pelvis on the way. You know what I mean? Like, so your shoulder mobility is affecting your squat depth. Well, how do you tell somebody that in a video? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, you have to check for mobility at every joint before you can squat like this. And people are like, and I'm not interested.
Right, I'm out of here.
Done.
You know what I mean?
If it's not easy, I don't want it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, exactly. So, communicating all that stuff, like, to a team, it's like you'd have to meet with each person individually or something like that. But so I totally relate to you in that, like, I am not interested in, like, doing that sort of coaching unless I'm also individually training people. Like, if you're going to talk about, like, getting together for a seminar or something like that, I mean, it would have to be something to where you could take the time to do, like, individual evaluations
100%.
And things like that. And it is astounding to me how few of, like, strength and conditioning programs do that. Even if you take, and I'm not going to mention names, but if you take, like, youth sports programs in general, okay, and you do, you have dry land training or your off-season training that your whatever parents, are going to pay buku bucks to get you out of the house and to get you better at your sport because they want you to, make mama proud someday.
Right.
And whatever, like, no, it's great. I mean, I would pay for my kids to do that stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's all
day
great
long.
stuff.
Totally will, yeah.
You know what I mean? But, here's the thing. They should be getting more out of that than just, going and hanging out somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing to just torture children and, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm all for that as well.
Everybody needs a little taste.
But
Yeah.
with the purpose, maybe.
Yeah. But, like, there's a time and a place where you just, quote unquote, bag skate the kids like we used to do in hockey. I mean, there'd be some practices where it's just like you knew you didn't want to show up on a particular day. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
So there's
5 a.m.
that, right? Yeah. But you know, then these kids, like, they're not actually learning anything. So, you know, I'll get these kids that, you know, come to me and they've been training with who even knows, whatever, some other group training or whatever. And, you know, I'll be like coaching a parent or something, and they're like, hey, you could really, you know, help my kid. And I'm like, yeah, like,
Right.
I'll totally, you know, evaluate them and all that stuff. And I'm always shocked at how little they've gleaned from going to these like off-season training program places. Like, and I'm not going to say like all of them are like that, but I would say, based off my experience, the majority is like these kids go to places like that and they're just like, yeah, it's great. Like, they're being forced to exercise and kind of stay in shape for their sport, but they're not learning how to lift correctly. They're not learning good mechanics. You know, maybe they have some emphasis on like running mechanics, but like 99% of running when you're, you know, at that stage of the game is just getting stronger. And you know what I mean? Yeah. And not only that, but what's even more impactful is just developing the mindset to be able to push yourself and do things.
What's good pain and what's bad pain and all that kind of stuff.
It's not even that. It's mental toughness, you know, building that with the kids.
Yeah, push
you know,
through.
Most of these kids are just, you know, softies. And, you know, you gotta teach them that, you know, it's pain is privilege. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
for sure. You know,
I think what's interesting, I'd like a point to make too, is children, the typical child needs to be heard the same thing over and over again. I think a lot of people even to adulthood need to hear the same thing over and over again. So like, you could have a knowledgeable person teach somebody something like twice or three times, but it's going to go over their head again. But like, to your guys' point, if you have somebody who's individually there for you, you can constantly, every time you train them, a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, whatever it is, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this. And then eventually it's just going to get drilled in their head, hopefully, and then you move on.
Totally.
Continue stacking every single time.
I mean, and there really is nothing better than when you like meet with somebody and, you know, you give them things to work on, and then you meet with them again, and they like are so much better than they were before.
It means they did their homework.
Yes.
You're like, it's happening.
Is that your favorite part of training? Would it be something like that?
Oh yeah, actually, like that feeling too afterwards. Like, I literally get like excited, you know? And like, I'm already pretty energetic, running around all the time, and I was just like borderline. I feel like I want to jump up and down, kind of excited. I'm just like, you did it!
Yes.
Come on.
So proud of you.
So speaking of which, what is your favorite part of coaching people?
Oh gosh, I think actually I was thinking about this the other day because it just happened to a few people that I just took on. When we really get into those mechanics in the very beginning, like the first couple of sessions where we start introducing these things and these different cues and ways of doing movements that they've pretty much done for a while sometimes, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, that feels so much better. Like that's painless or something. That is just the best feeling in the entire world. Yeah. When they're like, oh, I feel stronger in this position, or
my back doesn't hurt doing that anymore. You're like,
that was Eric. That was my thing when I first started training with Eric. I was like, okay, I can't actually do deadlifts because my back hurts, and I'm tall and I'm lanky and I have a bad back already. That was my excuses, right? Not anymore.
Yeah.
Time after time. I've heard that one so many times.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Then we're pulling
if you're doing
PRs.
It wrong,
then we're pulling PRs.
Pain-free.
Pain-free, yes.
Pain-free PRs.
Pain-free PRs.
That needs to be a shirt.
Yeah. Pain-free PRs.
Pain-free PRs.
Hunter,
write it down.
You got it, pal.
Write it down. It's on it. It's in a note.
There we go.
It's in a note.
There we go. Yeah,
T-shirt ideas.
By far the best feeling. It's just definitely relieving someone's pain. That's probably the number one, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, when they do their homework, yes, great. But those that come with pain and leave without is like, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that is a good feeling. I can get down with that. So when it comes to, let's talk a little bit of specifics here. Some people may have seen in the recent months that your squat has come a ways.
Wow. Gosh.
Needless to say, it's come a couple 100 pounds a ways. Just a couple hundred. Just a little bit. So for people looking to, you know, increase their strength in a squat or any particular movement, for that matter, what advice would you give them? What has helped you the most when it comes to increasing your lifts?
First off, I would say the mentality, honestly. Like, really, really knowing, like, oh, man, I can actually do this, and not being afraid of, like, okay, I'm going to get injured, or this is going to happen. Like, oh, what if, that doubt that everybody consistently has. Overcoming that, which I totally owe to freaking Marlon and Perry, like, for every single squat session, just being like, you got this, like, you're going to get it up no matter what. And I didn't really realize how much that was going to impact my squat, because I was, before squatting by myself, just doing my regular programming, and I think I was squatting about once a week at that time. We upped the frequency and then started touching weights I'd never touched before. So after that, I was like, wow, this is what my body's capable of, just sticking
That's
to your
cool.
guns kind of deal. And then, of course, the main thing that I think that a lot of people run into problems with, especially when you're doing like your own programming, is managing load and recognizing fatigue. Because
Yes,
Sure.
oh my gosh, you end up spinning your tires for months and months and months, and it's just like, what's going on? And then eventually probably losing some pounds on your squat after that, right? And once you kind of get that figured out, I mean, there's a million different ways and different things that you should be looking at, right? Like, one, rate of recovery, right? Fatigue management, load management, those things all go together. If you're not recovering, you can't really push, right? It's plain and simple that way. So finding out what you're actually capable of in those aspects will totally lead to just exponential growth.
I would say that most people, definitely most, I'm not going to put a percentage to it, are lifting far less than they are capable of.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that's probably a good thing, because if they were to lift what they're capable of with the form that they're probably using, the results would probably be a lot more disastrous. But I would say that, most people definitely feel like they're hitting failure far before they're hitting failure. It's like you're watching somebody's, cadence and rep tempo and things like that, and they're like, oh yeah, that was it. And you're like, okay, literally rep 10 was like the same speed as rep 2. Like you cannot tell me that you were,
nothing.
you cannot tell me that you were reaching failure. There's no way. Like it's impossible. So so I mean, I think that's a huge takeaway for people, the mental aspect of it, just pushing yourself,
Right. It seems so obvious.
Yes, it does.
It really does.
It does. But there's an art to it, right? Just like there's an art to most things. There's an art to, progressive overload, essentially, because that's what you're doing, right? So when it comes to increasing loads, like, you may not want to go for broke on day one.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, so when you're doing a progressive linear overload, right? I mean, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so we basically start with, I like to attach RPEs to stuff because that's just, I like RPE, right?
Yeah.
So what an
As
RPE
do I.
would be, so rate of perceived exertion. So on that scale, 6, basically 3 to 4 more reps in, right? Like I've got some ways to go if we start at a 6. So anything that feels really, really light and moves like air for the most part is where we're going to begin. And then week after week, we slowly just kind of climb up there. Once we kind of pass that threshold, because what you think is a 10 in some cases, right, is not a 10. Just how we were saying that people, tend to lift underneath that threshold.
So
right?
take video and watch it, like we talked about with Steph's podcast.
Yeah,
Take
that was
video,
a big take.
Oh, yeah.
Watch it so you understand, and put your, your loads that you think are a 10 RPE next to your loads that you think are, a 6 RPE, or you put your heavy loads next to your light loads and see how much actually slower they moved. Because velocity tells you a lot.
I would love to actually do some velocity-based training.
Yeah,
That
we should. We're going to do that.
Yeah,
For sure.
that would be an awesome experiment to run through.
Velocity-based training.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. Velocity is just a sick word.
Oh yeah, maximum velocity. Yeah, Oh, yeah.
So anyway, you're slowly creeping up in weight over the weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, slowly creeping up. With the way that we did it, we basically had two squat days, a light squat day to kind of maintain. One, you get some practice, right? You get way more practice with the actual movement. Then we come in on heavy days, and each week we're just progressively overloading that load, right?
How much do you
pushing
go
forward.
up typically?
We do about 10 pounds.
Okay.
10 pounds or so. On the squat, now, if you're going with RPE, things can get a little hairy, right? So if you have a 6.5 and then you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to go up to a 7, that weight difference is less cut in stone, right? You don't want to go, obviously, let's jump up 25 pounds. Like, that's probably not realistic. So, and something that's sustainable with progressive overload, right, is going to be the most beneficial. Like, you can't just shoot for the moon or the sun, rather, too quick because you get burned.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and just so people are aware, like, you have to be okay with going slow if you're doing a progressive load like that because, just for frame of reference, we're talking about 10 pounds as a, percentage of a, 500 or 600 pound load.
Right.
Like your percentage at that point is super low. You're 5% or less of a jump each week. So, that's a pretty small increase relatively. Right. But, you're essentially acclimating your system to lifting that heavier weight over time and touching heavier weight more frequently, definitely going to be a huge benefit to your nervous system and letting those tendons and everything else adapt to those heavier loads, right?
Oh, yeah. We definitely reached the threshold where that wasn't happening, And
knowing when to back off. So what are your signs, like with your athletes or with yourself when you're really looking to back off? Because I think it's probably a huge question that people ask me all the time. Hey, when am I doing too much? And my answer is like, never. No, I'm just
keep going.
Yeah,
always.
Don't be a wuss. But yeah, I mean, that is a super common question, and it does hold a lot of relevance. Like, when am I doing too much? I would say that a lot of my clients tend to be the overachievers of the world. So as opposed to, I think a lot of coaches find themselves having to encourage their clients to do more. I feel like a lot of times I'm pulling the reins back a little bit with my people.
Right.
But what are some of your metrics that you use with your people and yourself?
So I like to actually moderate all of their load for like every single thing, right, about their training cycle. All of the load progressions, like that is, I'm going to let you know. Yeah. So when we kind of get up into those higher ranges and stuff, one of the things is I try to tell all of my athletes is to be very in tune with their body, right? Listen to what it's saying. So if we're kind of getting any sort of overuse injuries, things like that, which tend not to happen when we stick to the correct load.
Stick to what I wrote down for you, pal.
Yeah. That's an easy sign to just be like, all right, it's time to back off, right? It's time to pull back.
So what are the things that you're telling them to look for in that instance?
Basically, energy levels, number one, right, is going to be, all right, are you tired and fatigued every single time you come to the gym? What is your motivation like, right? Because to some degree, right, motivation is going to kind of give us an idea of where we're at, right? What is the outside looking like? Are you stressful at work? Excuse me. Are we having stress happen at work, home life, those kinds of things? So if I hear too, and a lot of that you can pick up in discussion, right? In the very beginning, those are the questions I'm asking. How are things actually going?
So for people that are maybe not necessarily, having a coach, or if they do have a coach, but they're not necessarily being monitored in that fashion, how are they going to self-monitor this skill?
Yes. I'd say the easiest way that you could probably look at if you need to pull back is failure. Are you failing? Right? Are you failing lifts? Are you in the sense of strength training, right? Are we failing lifts back to back? Hopefully not, because if you fail continuously and you're trying to still go up, then you're gonna once again burn out, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of expand upon that. looking at your overall recovery metrics. So what does your sleeping pattern look like? What does your nutritional pattern look like? Like some of the more obvious things. But I feel like when you start running into overtraining, your body really does just start to feel beat up, Yes. And you and I know what that feels like, but not everybody quite understands. So it's not necessarily a soreness. It's you literally feel weaker.
Broken.
You might, you might feel like you need more caffeine to get amped up to go lift.
Really
going. Yeah, you might, like you said, you might be developing some like weird aches and pains. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily joint pain or back pain like everybody seems to complain about all the time. It's what you need to just build a stronger back. Hello.
Turtle shell, yeah.
It's more so like, oh man, like I really have kind of like a burning sensation on the lateral aspect of my quad, or like, little things like that. Like the movements start to hurt you a little bit more, and the movements kind of stop feeling good. And yeah, like you said, if you're running into certain loads that you were lifting with ease before, they start feeling kind of heavy, or they start hurting you. You feel a little bit more pain in the muscle, pain in the joint, and not the like, oh, I've got a pump going pain. I'm feeling the good burn,
good old burn,
which by the way is not from lactic acid buildup. Don't even go there. It's hydrogen ion accumulation. For those that want to know, why do you get burning? Yes, metabolic acidosis. Hydrogen ion accumulation. You lose the ability for cross bridge formation. Anyway, that's a side topic. Yeah, it's not lactic acid buildup. That is not why your muscles burn. Let it be known. So we're not talking about hydrogen ion accumulation. We're talking more like actual, like I feel injured pain towards that. So yeah, I'd say management on that is definitely key if you want to move forward with where you're at, both from a strength aspect and from a hypertrophy aspect. You've got to be able to, have the I guess the self-awareness, right, in order to be able to push through at times when you need to push through, and back off when it's time to back off. Does that make
almost like restraint in some cases.
I mean, and it is really weird because you hear me talking about like, oh, you need to quit being a baby. And then you hear, oh, you need to know when to back off. And it's like, that's a very difficult thing because people are like, am I pushing hardcore or am I not? Make up your mind. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the right amount of push.
Right.
And so, we can sit here and talk about it all day, but anyway.
That's cool. To go along with that, though, so when we're talking about not necessarily like rehab of an injury, but recovery, because you just said that was a big deal when it comes to gaining strength and stuff, what would be some you would teach your clients / for yourself to recover adequately? I know sleep's a huge one.
Right.
We kind of covered that already. What else?
100%. Sleep, definitely getting your nutrition in check. Now, if somebody's like completely not tracking their nutrition in any sort of way, I would say definitely start.
Start tracking.
Start tracking.
I don't think we said that on this podcast before.
What? Start tracking. We got episodes. All right.
Just kidding. Yeah, 100% kidding.
Start tracking. Definitely get your sleep and drink more water. Drink more water. Those
Speaking
are going to be.
Which, cheers.
There
we go. New Mecca Shakers.
There we go.
New Mecca Shakers, shout out.
Get them online or in the store.
Buying one after this. It's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
Done deal.
We've already sold one.
Go.
Good job, Eric.
You got me.
Sold him.
Ad works.
Drink water, sleep.
Drink water, sleep, and then
nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition for sure. And then kind of find those, basically the recovery modalities that actually work for you, right? So a lot of the things that I go for are going to be hot baths, those sort of things. So I do those before I actually get hurt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Injury prevention would probably be better than
right?
injury.
Let's not have an injury. That'd be cool. So yeah, finding those things and really doing, all of your warm-ups correctly. That's probably one of the things.
Don't skip your warm-ups.
Please
people.
don't. Please.
It's weird how people think that's kind of like a trait of like being a mature gym goer or something like that. It's just like, oh, I don't need to warm up. I'm good.
I just warm up with
It's like,
sweats.
I'm a badass because I don't warm up.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're still going to warm up.
Yeah, I mean, there is a time and a place, to warm up within the movement that you're doing.
Right,
going
it's
to
still
be doing.
warm up.
I
Yeah.
think that's absolutely valid. However, there are certain reasons for doing some of the quote-unquote warm-ups that we have.
Right.
Such as, get your body temperature up and then do certain activation exercises because, you're basically dealing with length-tension relationships all over your body, all the individual joints, right? So you might be, Alex might tell you to do a particular warm-up because, you need to create more tension in a particular plane at a particular joint, right? So maybe you need to do, banded snatches for, shoulder mobility because you need to, be firing, certain muscles of your shoulder that he feels, there's discrepancies there. You need to, actively stretch out certain muscles of your shoulders, right? Yeah, I would say if you, have pain or you have tightness, things like that, things like foam rolling or, doing some mild trigger point, little shot put ball action, typically isn't the best if done before you lift. And the only time we really recommend that is if you cannot do correct technique and correct range of motion without using that stuff first. So
100%.
like if your glutes are super tight or your hamstrings are super tight and you can't achieve the correct squat depth, you're getting posterior pelvic tilt in your squat unless you loosen up those muscle groups first. Well, by all means, absolutely loosen those bad boys up. But the idea would be to get to a place where you don't have to do something like that prior to lifting.
What's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of looking deeper at some of those things for sure.
Sweet. All right. Well, obviously Eric is as well, but Alex passionate about strength and stuff. What are also like the top 3 things you're passionate about in your life?
Ooh, core strength, right? One of the most exciting things in my life right now is
drum roll, please.
I'm gonna be a dad. So there we go. Yes. So,
she's preggers.
She's pregnant. Yes. So
that's fantastic.
Now, I mean, that's kind of like every single day I find myself thinking more and more like, oh gosh, all right, I'm gonna be a dad. I gotta get this stuff together,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a weird transition in life, that's for sure.
Yeah. Coming from 2 fathers over here, so
yeah. Don't worry, it's not as bad as people say.
Good.
It's incredible, actually.
I've only heard good things. There's bad stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited, and that's one of the things I'm very passionate about. It's just making sure that nail the role. Right?
Passionate about making babies. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good man.
Process goals,
Oh, dude, that's great. Well, super excited for you. Obviously, that's a big deal.
Yes, very.
Thank you.
Eric, I think we should go after some of them off-the-cuff questions with Alex.
Oh,
real
should
quick.
we? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go after it. Off the cuff. We didn't prepare you for this. We never do. But whoever listens to the podcast has heard these before. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go. Let's start with this one's one of my favorites. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh, 3 people. Let's see.
It's okay. You can leave my name off the list.
We understand that would be 1.
Oh man, this makes it even more difficult. Now I gotta find
Now gotta find
3 total, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, dead or alive? I would go. Gosh, an easy one is definitely Mr. Roosevelt for sure.
We're talking Teddy. I'm assuming.
Teddy.
Yes.
Teddy Roosevelt for sure. MLK for sure.
MLK.
Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally have dinner with him.
That'd be a good one.
That would be an interesting discussion.
Yes.
I'm very curious. And then off the political route.
That's just.
Chris Farley.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Living in a van down by the river.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh,
pulling his pants up.
Because he would just add a little bit, in that scenario.
Are you talking Chris Farley whilst speedballing or whilst not speedballing?
Let's say not speedballing.
Okay.
Let's say, yeah,
Fair
we need
enough.
some moderate breakup there,
Okay. Yes, very good.
Great.
Very good.
Oh gosh.
That would be good. Good dinner.
That'd be an interesting dinner.
Yeah. All right. Top. I think we do 3. Top 3 books.
Top 3 books. Oh, any of the. Oh no. Whoa, almost went too quick. Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows. 1.
Oh, it's a very specific book. Not even.
Yes.
Like book 1 of the 7th book.
Yes.
Part 1, I should say.
Part 1 of the 7th book.
Book 7, Part 1.
Book 7, Part 1.
So why Part 1 and not Part 2?
Right.
Because Part 2 is like the epic conclusion.
Yes. I like the setup. I like the build-up, the anticipation.
Dude, the build-up is pretty
It's
good.
just like, man, we got to figure out, I don't know how this is going to go, you know? Everything's going wrong.
Yeah. We gotta figure something out.
So did you read the 7th book when it came out?
Yes.
Okay.
I was in line at Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
snagged
Okay.
that.
Samesies.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And for The Cursed Child. Good screenplay. But, you know.
Yeah.
It's-
I didn't even bother. I didn't want to be disappointed.
Yeah. No, I can tell you all about it. Save you some time. That's
Yeah.
all. That's
Very
all.
good.
And then I read, back in the day, the Spiderwick Chronicles were in that group. It was another one of these. Yeah, it was a great book. I'm a big...
Was it a
obviously,
book
you can
or a
tell,
book series? I don't
book
remember.
Series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Book series. Very similar, you know, on that fantasy. That's kind of what
Yeah, I
like to
haven't read
read.
those. What are those all about?
So it's about basically like these 2 twins, right? They go to their grandpa's house and he's passed away, so they're kind of packing up all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They find these books and they're just like, oh, you know, he's writing about, you know, trolls and all these other things, and he's got pictures in there, and obviously it's just like the most terrifying nightmare fuel stuff that you could find. And they find this little glass that basically, it's an eyeglass, and you can see these monsters because they live among us and stuff like that.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, okay.
And then it goes into basically like, you know, they're trying to take over the world, all kinds of stuff like that. And then, yeah.
It gets heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, get some heavy stuff. Some
Okay.
heavy stuff.
Right on.
And then, let's see, for my 3rd book, geez, I've been reading a lot of strength and conditioning books.
Yeah,
really
name out one of
moved
those.
out. Oh, gosh. The one that I would choose right now that I'm actually in, I'm reading Juggernaut right now, the Juggernaut Method, for sure. It's pretty interesting because of, just to give you guys a little excerpt, is the style of undulating periodization that they use in that book. It's definitely a little bit more, I would say, tedious than the training that I'm used to doing, right, with undulating periodization.
In what way?
So they'll talk about basically, because I just read this chapter the other day, but basically about bench, and specifically just bench and undulating bench, and then figuring out how to fit in squat and deadlift, which makes sense, right? It's super straightforward. But at the same time, they're talking about weekly, and they'll go within a week, or daily rather, a heavy load deadlift, and like hitting it 3 times, heavy, medium, light, and then switching that for the next week and going, all right, so your first one's going to be moderate now, and then you're going to go light, then you're going to go heavy at the end of the week. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm trying to wrap my head around all this and figure out how to navigate that, but it's a good read, and I'm basically just writing out different ways that I would try to structure it. So pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right on.
So they're basically manipulating within the undulated days
Yes.
weekly.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I'm just like, 'cause linear has worked really well for me. And everything at the end of the day, right, you need to progressively overload, which hopefully is kind of a linear path, whether it's wave load.
Yeah, and with DUP, a lot of the overload is from a volume perspective. That's kind of more the theory, which works well for some people, and whereas, you know, a lower volume and higher intensity may work better for other people.
Yep.
You know, I would say that the higher volume training definitely has its place, and I mean, it's no secret around here that I, you know, both myself and with my people prescribe tons of volume.
Yes.
Typically.
Yes.
So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite or anything, but specifically with various forms of DUP, it's the amount of volume can very easily be detrimental from an overtraining standpoint, you know, especially when you're talking about, like, you know, we talked about earlier about fatigue level and things like that. So doing DUP or undulating your training and doing like a heavy load, medium load, light load days, and basically what those are is strength, hypertrophy, power days.
Right.
You're doing a lot of volume. That's definitely,
Yes.
You're keeping your loads, at certain levels so that your intensity isn't too high to cause a ton of overtraining. But I'd say the propensity to overtrain is actually pretty real and pretty high in doing that style of training, especially like a 3-day a week.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see that with people. Like I have friends, I'm not going to name names, but popular people that have dealt with a lot of overuse injuries because of their training in that style. And it's not that they did it wrong or anything like that.
Right.
It's just the volume accumulation that it takes is something that, certain people's genetics, especially when you're pushing your genetic threshold,
Yeah.
is going to really struggle to withstand that amount of load on a weekly basis. And so, yeah, I feel like, some training methodologies, especially, things like, super advanced DUP. Not DUP wasn't created for like enhanced athletes, but my point is like a lot of the programming that I see, not a lot, I say some of the programming that I see, you can definitely tell like, okay, this is definitely not for a mortal man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mortal.
like I'm just looking at this and like, I think I can handle more than most, and I definitely put my athletes through more than most, but that is going to not last long.
Yeah.
Like you're either assuming people are going to sandbag the living bejesus out of that, or like you got people that are loading up on a little extra recovery aid.
Yeah.
Which is fine, to each their own. But, people need to understand that when they're looking at these programs online like, these old Russian freaking like Smolov or Shiko or whatever. Dude, how many backs have been ruined by those programs?
Yeah,
You know what I
have-
mean?
Yeah,
It's like
destroyed some backs.
yeah, destroyed. It's like, geez, man, like that's yeah. I've dealt with a lot of people with back stuff going on due to some of those like old Russian training programs,
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, these guys were not competing in the USAPL,
Yeah.
okay?
No.
Yeah,
Just tell you that much right now.
yeah. There
Everyone
was
will tell you Smolov is not awesome, right?
Yeah.
Not for the weak.
No. So anyway, it's definitely good to read that kind of stuff, and especially, as us coaches, like
Right.
I enjoy reading, books that are written by other people in the field,
Yes.
Aaron Horschig, Squat You, he's got a book that was good.
Yes. That was a great book.
Becoming a Supple Leopard was good. Kelly Starlett.
Ooh, I need to check that out.
That's like he's like one of the OG like recovery PT foam rolling, all the
Okay.
tricks and things like that. I mean, that guy did more with a lacrosse ball than you can even shake a stick at. I mean, I'm here to tell you. But yeah, just creative things for like recovery programming, and then you have guys like Lane Norton now who have done a few books on just some of their methodologies based off of the evidence-based research and all that stuff, right? So definitely good to see kind of what other people, their ideologies are, and kind of where their center is at, but that's our job as coaches, is to digest that information, and then maybe we can learn from it, maybe we can get tidbits here and there, to be able to reinforce something or help a client or whatever. But it's being able to digest that information and then use it appropriately, right? Practically apply it. And I'm not even opposed to reading some books that I don't necessarily agree with, because that makes you critically think about why you might not agree with this person.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And you can point out all of their flaws and all of the flaws in the studies.
Well, then when people come with questions, you are knowledgeable in answering.
Yeah,
Right.
you're equipped, and it'll actually help you define more of, why you believe what you believe, right? In reading that stuff. So I think that, it's definitely not a bad thing to be reading some of those books, except for, supporting some of those people that sell the voodoo. I mean, I don't want them to be making money off of me getting entertainment off of reading their book. Like I think the Medical Medium's got a book. I mean, for those of you who don't know, the Medical Medium was introduced to me by a client of mine. God bless her. She's the sweetest woman ever. But she started drinking celery juice, and I'm like, what in the
Celery juice.
heck
Celery juice.
is going on here? And she's like, oh, yeah, the Medical Medium, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the what? Excuse me?
Yeah, right.
So you know what have you heard of this guy?
The medical medium specifically, but I
Yeah.
know what a medium is.
Yeah, you know what a medium is.
know.
Yeah. So this medical medium guy thinks that he's got some gift, and basically his answer to everything is drinking celery juice. I am not kidding.
Oh.
I am not kidding.
And this
Sounds
is like-
legit.
How many pages is this? Is the book?
I don't.
All you
Dude,
need is one
I don't
page.
know. He's
Like
got.
5, yeah.
He's got to have a book. Yeah, I know he's got a book of sorts. He's got to. But anyway, it's the biggest joke I've ever heard in my life.
That doesn't sound.
And it's like, dude, oh, you have cancer? Drink celery juice.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
He's
yeah.
one of those.
Well, this guy has multiple books.
Oh no.
Oh.
What's his name?
His name is Anthony William Caveo.
Caveo.
Okay.
Was a professionally medical medium. Is a medium who offers pseudo-scientific medical and health advice based on alleged communication with the spirit.
Yes, the spirit.
The spirit.
Oh,
so yeah, so he
there's
has
a spirit
books.
involved.
Medical medium. Then there's medical medium expanded and revised.
Oh dear.
Then there's medical medium cleanse to heal. Medical medium celery juice.
Oh jeez.
And then you could buy the pack of all 5 of his books for $130 on Amazon.
I try to not swear on this podcast, but I'm gonna break that rule and say
the
that
rule.
guy is so full of shit. I cannot even express to you strongly.
You know what's
enough.
wild is this
No.
dude probably lives in a mansion somewhere living.
Dude,
Yes.
absolutely.
He's
He's
made
made
one bestseller.
It's made millions of dollars, dude. So that's what I'm talking about. Like when we're talking about books and like reading stuff that you don't necessarily agree with, like we're not going that far off the deep end here. Like that
That
is
would
just
full on insanity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you got guys like that selling legit snake oil,
Yeah.
Snake oil.
like to people, and I don't know, man, how do people even like how can people believe that? He's talking to a spirit about medical advice.
Yeah.
A spirit.
Doctor
And like
Strange.
no, dude, seriously. And his claim is like, well, the spirit knows into the future. It's beyond our current understanding of medicine.
Plot
the
thickens.
yeah, exactly. The plot thickens. I'm like, who are you, Thanos?
Yeah.
Like,
What
get
is
out of
going
here,
on
Fantastic.
here?
dude. Like, I mean.
That's wild.
Oh, it's nuts. And here we are. Everybody's all up in arms about a COVID mRNA vaccine. And you got this dingleberry selling people
Celery
celery
juice.
juice. It's like, okay. Like, at least they did some form of research on the COVID vaccine. And yet you got this guy talking to a spirit about celery juice and nobody even cares. Nobody bats an eye.
There's no way about today.
Oh my gosh.
Like, yep.
This is so twisted.
What a backwards
I
world.
guarantee you this Joker's going to come out with a book that's like, celery juice cleanses COVID from the body.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, you know it.
know it.
You know it.
It's
Like,
gonna be revolution.
That's in the
It's gonna go
revised
beet
and
juice.
expanded edition.
yeah, in the revised and expanded celery juice to cure COVID-19.
Oh my.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
no,
Anyway,
no.
I don't know how we got down that
We
rabbit
got there.
hole.
Okay, just everyone
But
pay
we
attention to the
went
books
there.
that you're reading
And,
Please.
yes.
and ask those
Please.
people you trust what you read to be true.
Yeah.
All right,
Discuss
well,
things.
speaking of Marvel and Thanos, you being a massive fan of Marvel, we know this. But a huge question we ask here that's a very big deal. is top 2 movies.
Arguably my favorite question.
Arguably his favorite question.
Oh, top 2.
Top 2.
I'd already had this one figured out. So my first one, anyway, is going to be Avengers Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Being number 1.
Yes.
Okay, so
Interesting.
before I get into this, what's number 2?
It's totally Endgame. But
Okay,
it's
okay.
totally Endgame.
But are they that order?
That's the order,
So
huh?
you like Infinity War more than Endgame?
100%.
And that's when they
Interesting.
make Thor's axe
Yeah.
in Infinity War. Yeah. So I actually, and that's why I asked you that, because dude, honestly, if I'm gonna go watch a movie just casually for fun, like, and those are my 2 options, like, I might pick Infinity War too. I think Endgame is a better movie.
Yes.
Because it's like
It's more of a traditional movie.
It ties everything together.
It ties
Story
everything together,
Finishes it
the
out.
storyline,
Beautifully.
and like it's a total tearjerker. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, right in the
R.I.P.
feels, bro. Like
Yep.
Tony Stark. I mean, we already know.
We've known
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Infinity War is a much easier watch, but it's freaking sweet. You got like the Banner in the Hulkbuster
Yes,
suit thing,
seriously.
which is hilarious. And then anyway,
Well, just how
Comic
badass
relief,
Thanos
all of it,
is,
yeah.
and how they make him the protagonist. That's what I mean. Like Endgame being a more classic film structure. The other one's
Right.
not. But man, it leaves me freaking hollow at the end of it.
Yes,
because
it
I remember
does.
watching it in the
Yes,
theaters.
it
My
does.
wife and I sat in the car, like silent for probably a good 5 minutes.
Same.
And then she starts looking on her phone. She's like, "Okay, so when's the next one coming out? There's the next one, right?" Like
which one is this?
Infinity War.
Oh yeah.
After we watched that in the theaters, you just feel like
when everybody
Your
just
soul
when everyone's
just,
gone.
it's gone.
And you think like no movie ends like this, especially like this. No, you don't end it like this. That's the genius of the
Pretty sure my
Russo brothers
mouth
right there.
yeah.
Mouth was like wide open after that. I was like, "Are you serious?
Are
here?"
you serious?
Yeah.
And
It's
I
a
looked at
fun-
everybody else. Are you guys okay?
Dude,
Are you
I don't
guys
know,
good?
man. You know, the thing that really bugs me about Infinity War, and I haven't watched WandaVision yet.
Oh,
I know.
my.
Dude, I can't handle dude with the friggin' jewel in his head.
Okay, Vision. Yeah,
Vision. Thank you. I
Dude
knew
with the
that.
jewel in his
Yeah.
head.
I can't handle Vision and Wanda, dude. Wanda's all right, but I can't handle Vision, dude. He
Yeah.
is a wuss.
Yeah. Oh, he got
Oh.
completely like. Oh my gosh.
He
Well,
just
they
got
ruined him.
ham boned.
I have no
millions
idea how
of
that
times.
happened. Yeah.
Like I think when what was the movie before Infinity War? It was
what was the last one?
it
Well,
was
what are we talking about? Chronological? Or are we talking about
no,
release date?
the one
Oh, Age of Ultron.
yes,
Oh,
Age of Ultron.
okay.
He was like kind of a badass.
Mhm.
And
They
that-
nerfed him.
dude. They nerfed him.
They nerfed
hard,
Vision.
bro.
It was so bad.
Like I
a
feel
pretty
bad
interesting
for
deal.
the actor that plays
Right?
Vision. Like can't handle it
Thought he
in
was gonna have a
Infinity War.
sweet deal, pretty
Oh.
strong Avenger.
Yeah.
Decent.
Infinity Stone, right in
Yeah.
the forehead. Then
Yeah.
nope, just get destroyed by everyone. Honestly,
Oh, dude,
everyone.
just gets destroyed. It's depressing.
It really is.
But I think really the real MVP is Thor in Endgame, if we're being honest.
yeah,
I mean, he really turns a 180 from a lightning bolt all of a sudden.
That's
he goes
true.
from literally zero back to hero.
That's right.
That was awesome.
But keeps his body, which
But
is
keeps his
phenomenal.
body.
Oh,
it
yeah.
didn't just zap off.
that one
I
gave me.
remember
goosebumps.
listening to like a behind the scenes deal. They were talking about, okay, like they go through each character, what their story arc's going to be. And there's like, okay, Thor's been through the ringer. Like, what normal human, how would they like deal with that? They would sit and veg and gain weight, and they would do this. So it's like, we're going to make Thor do that.
yelling at kids on Xbox Live.
Dude, that was incredible.
It was so
I'm
good.
so glad they put that scene. in
Yeah.
there.
I'm gonna
Genius.
rip when he's like telling you that he's gonna rip his arms off or something like that.
What is his name? Like Krog is like, yeah, this kid's being mean to me again.
Yeah.
Same kid like the past 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, I remember playing like Halo back in the day online. That was like one of the first,
Yes.
that did that, and it would
true.
be like,
Cruel.
some dude would just absolutely kill you, like
words,
over and
yes.
over again, just like work you. And then you'd hear this little squeaky voice in the background, and you're like, dude, I'm getting wasted by an 8-year-old kid right now, you know? So bad.
I had to stop the video games because that was happening to me all the time.
Oh,
I was like,
I mean,
do I spike the controller? Like,
yeah, I mean,
what do
so
you mean?
were you Call of Duty in college? Like, was that
yes.
a thing?
Not necessarily in college too much.
High
It
school?
was high school.
Yeah, so that's when I was in college, and all my buddies, like my first like couple years of college, it was like, dude, Call of Duty was like life, you know? It was like a way of life. We would play into all hours of the night, you know?
You lose track of time.
Like
You
idiots,
100%
you
lose
know?
track.
I haven't touched a video game in like years now, but like first couple years of college, end of high school is like, that's just what you did with your bros. You know,
That's what
and
you
it
did
was
with the
like,
LAN party.
dude,
That's what it's
yes,
about.
exactly. Before things had progressed, but anyway, it's just getting wasted on Call of Duty by like some 10-year-old kid probably at midnight. It's just like you're screaming into the microphone.
Yeah.
Oh man, and like, you know, I didn't play that often, so it's like I was never good enough to like really.
Right.
I wasn't good
You know,
either.
I got wasted when I played online. I'm like, dude, you people spend way too much time on here.
It's incredible now. And then, like, what is it? The gaming, like, space is totally, like, it's like
Esports, it's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
It's
yeah,
worth a
all
lot
these
of money.
people
So much
making
money now.
buku bucks, man.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, and then big people, rich people investing in teams and like all this kind of stuff. It's a legit sports,
Dude, it's insane
now.
It's kind of concerning to me, honestly. Like, what is that going to do for like nationwide health? Like, you know what I mean? Like, before it was like, oh, these kids are watching these, you know, pro athletes, so they want to go play sports, and like they want. I mean, dude, we all did it. Right,
Yeah,
watch pro athletes and like we want to be like them. So what? Now these kids are watching these pro gamers and they're like, I just want to sit here and game.
I guess.
Well, these pros,
you know.
like I watched this documentary, they're doing like gaming 12 hours a day, if not more. So that's what they're doing. So
Oh
yeah,
my
like
word.
what do you do with
Yeah, how do you even honestly, like...
So
without affecting your health detrimentally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, hook up a feeding tube. Yeah, it's like the South Park episode, man.
Yes,
Mom, bathroom, mom.
100%,
Yeah.
yep.
It's like, you know, you're not getting steps. You're not getting hardly any physical activity. You know, you're probably eating Hot Pockets.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Hot Pockets.
it's
We
like-
gotta get to quick
I
calories.
mean, that really is a concern of mine, honestly. Like,
And it's the same
agree.
game. That's what I would have a hard time with. Okay, granted, like I played basketball hours and hours and hours of my life, but it's the same exact video game over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For 12 hours a day.
That's got to be something
I'd
to
snap.
somebody's mind.
That's
Yeah.
just a
Oh, yeah.
lot. I feel like it's just a lot. Yeah, I don't quite know how I feel about like, and now I get it. Like when I was a kid, my parents would like harass me about like first of all would not buy me video game stuff at all. Like I had Super Mario Bros. And that was it.
On the Game Boy.
On the not even, it was on a old original like Nintendo.
There you go.
Whoa.
Okay.
Which, you know, and now you can, before the 64,
What?
bro.
Oh.
Yeah, like the original, you know, like the gray rectangular.
Oh, the little
with like
thing.
the A/B button.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all you got, you know. And now you can play those games on the Wii,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
It's pretty
But yeah, my parents would give me the hardest time. And like when N64 came out, they're like, "No way, Jose." You know, and like Xbox, no way, Jose. Like I didn't get a video game console until I got my wisdom teeth out.
Whoa.
No joke. And I guilted my mom into buying. I'm like,
You gotta play
I'm
this
in
shit.
so much pain, for the love of God.
What
Get
am I gonna
me
do?
an
Need a
Xbox
distraction.
360. Yeah. And that was, I never
Triumphant
before
day.
then. Yeah. I mean, yes, I finally won. But
Right.
you know what I mean? It's like, now I get that though, as a parent, you know, it's like, you know, we want our kids to like read and like play sports and do all these things. And it's like, well, you know, video games, it's like big deal these days. And kids are, you know, like Logan, my youngest, man, he is like, dude, he'll come in here in the kids room. He like schools everybody on the Mario stuff. He's like actually good at it.
That's awesome.
He's 3. I'm like, dear Lord.
Wait a second.
And then Walker's not even interested in it. So it's like,
Yeah, it's really weird, but like
personalities.
where do you draw the line on that? You know what I
True.
mean? With
Very
kids, it's
true.
like, I guess slap an Apple Watch on them and say, all right, you got to get to 10,000 steps before you can play vids.
Yeah.
There you go.
Get to it.
Deal
you
or
know
no
what I mean?
deal. That's it.
Yeah, deal or no deal. And your room needs to be spotless.
Oh yeah, you gotta toss that one in there for sure.
Parenting.
Yes, parenting.
Write it down,
Anyway.
Alex.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
What we got?
exactly. All right. So top 2 movies, we had Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh yeah.
I'm just curious, what's like 3, 4, and 5?
They're probably Harry Potter movies, honestly.
Oh,
Right down that
Okay.
path. Yeah.
extra nerdery.
100%.
Well, I'm digging that.
Yeah.
So when it came to books, like we had more fiction from Alex than I think we've had.
Dude, nobody else on here
No.
has said any fiction. Which, don't get me wrong, if you ask me my top 3 books, which you probably have before, none of them were. Like, on this podcast, I just don't necessarily bring the fiction side of the house into
That's true.
it.
Mm-hmm. No, but I appreciate it is what I'm saying. I think it's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
You're
Cool.
welcome.
All right, sorry. 3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5.
Would they be Harry Potter movies?
Yeah, they would all be Harry Potter movies, but I'd totally start with number 1. That would be 3 because just the classicness of it, It's
Oh,
the
dude.
first
The
Harry
OGs.
Potter movie.
The
yeah.
OG.
Philosopher's
Yes.
Stone.
Oh yeah, like it sets the tone, if you will.
It sets the tone.
And then, in order with these guys, I would have to go. I liked 5. A lot of people hated
Dude,
5.
Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, Order of
Yeah.
the Phoenix was awesome.
Dude, that book was heavy.
Yeah, that was
way
a big
heavier
one.
than the movie.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I mean, it was a
Like,
dark
the
one.
Half-Blood Prince and everything that was one of my favorites,
Yes.
honestly.
Yeah.
And if I were to choose a favorite movie, I think that would be it.
Really?
For, the Harry Potter series. I think it's gotta be the Half-Blood Prince.
I do come
because
back to that one a lot.
because they're older and, like, they're actually doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, they're still kind of in school. It's not necessarily the craziness of the last ones.
Yeah. That book
like
was
not-
awesome, actually. I might have to reread that one.
Dude, it's
was
like,
great.
it's really good. But I really started liking them once you get into, like, 4, 5, 6, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean,
more adult stuff.
yeah,
all
yeah, definitely.
They're dealing with like the passing of their sometimes peers, and then what?
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. Oh, that was a tough loss.
Dude.
That one serious.
That's big
Ooh,
casualty right there.
Gosh, big
So
casualty.
going beyond Avengers and Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
what are we getting into movie-wise?
Oh, movie-wise, let's see. I'm trying to think. I'm a big scary movie guy, so.
Oh, no way.
Those are like my.
Okay, hit us with
yeah.
a scary movie. Are you talking like Saw scary movie?
No. Like the gore doesn't really get me. Honestly, sometimes like I'm a little squeamish when it comes to that. So like
would
I'll watch a
never
Saw
have guessed.
movie and then I'm just like, who thought of this? Why is this a thing?
It is
Yeah.
interesting what people can think of.
Are we talking like the Poltergeist?
Yeah, we're on that supernatural grind.
dude.
That scary stuff. So like
That is
the
scary stuff.
Conjuring, like Lights Out, pretty much like James Wan, all of his movies, like he's a good director.
He's a good director.
Yeah, he gets my sort of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He knows
I
it's
think,
scary.
like, but I will say, like, if you've ever seen, The Devil's Rejects and those, like, Rob Zombie movies
Oh,
and stuff, those are, like, oh, my gosh, those are just gruesome. Like, they're just
Dude.
worst case scenario.
Yeah, I can't. I really can't.
But I
really
will
can't.
say, this is probably, I bet, have you guys seen The Strangers?
No.
No.
Ooh.
No, I've like debated about watching it.
I think
but I'm not gonna
that's the most real, that one, like, made me scared for days. Like you're just sleeping in your house.
What?
It's
what
based
is
in
this?
reality?
The Strangers?
Yes, this is actually based on a true story too.
Oh, don't
yeah,
get
The
me-
Strangers. So the whole
Yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like scary movies just seem stupid to me. I know we're horribly off topic right now.
yeah, we're just
But,
going.
I mean, yeah, this is like
Rabbit
an
hole.
episode of a million rabbit holes of
Yeah.
me rambling. But what I will say is scary movies to me just seem so stupid. People always do stupid things.
They do.
Most of them are based off of things that are totally fictional and made up.
Yes.
And so, like, right then and there, I'm like, I can't be, like, this is not real. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's what I
and,
think you like.
And in the main characters, like, or whatever, the people who are being hunted or whatever, they always do the stupidest thing.
They do.
It's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go walk out in the dark and you know.
Let's split up. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, let's split up. Yeah, let's split
There's
up.
6 of us. Why would we do that?
Yeah, like Blair Witch Project status.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Oh yeah.
That was a rough one.
I can't.
You know,
I
Lost in the Woods.
I can't get into the scary movies a lot, but the two that really screwed with me were Hush. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah.
Ever heard that one? It's about this lady who lived alone. She was deaf, and there was a dude trying to come in and kill her. Essentially, was the premise. So that was intense because she was deaf. So like the movie would cut to like being her point of view, and you couldn't hear anything, but you like saw. Anyway, that was crazy. Another one was had Jennifer Lawrence in it. It was like Cabin.
House at the
Cabin
End of the
Fever.
Okay, what?
House at the End of the Street.
Maybe it was House at the End of the Street. Maybe not Cabin. House at the End of the
was
Street.
definitely scary, but she was in House at the End of the Street.
The last part where they explain that huge twist at the end, it just screwed with me. Anyway,
when they do stuff like that, but the Strangers basically like they it's a couple, of course. You know, they're staying at their cabin. You know, typical premise, right? And then these strangers just show up and start messing with stuff. You know, they literally just come in. Long story short, not to spoil it because it doesn't spoil anything really, they get killed, right? And
the couple.
They're like, why? You know, why'd you do this? Yeah, the couple gets killed. They're like, why? And they're like, you know, just because you were home. Like, you happened to be home and they got you. And that just, like, sends chills down your spine after everything that they've been through the whole night and day.
Oh, my gosh.
And this one was pretty realistic because it was like, they did some stuff that I totally would have tried to do. Like that. And I was like, all right, now we know that one wouldn't work.
That's why you get
Data collection.
formal self-defense, CQB, home defense training. And you always make sure your weapons are cocked
There
and
is a
locked,
point to
baby.
this conversation, and there it
Oh
is.
my gosh. Oh, Lord have mercy.
That's the golden nugget right there.
The golden nugget is always be prepared. I don't feel bad
Stay
for those
strapped
people.
or
Stay
get
strapped.
clapped.
Exactly. Like, dude, if I had a cabin in the woods, I mean, I don't, but I mean, even at home,
Yes.
always cocked and locked. Stay strapped,
Oh,
people.
yeah.
I
Learn
mean,
that lesson.
We'll put that
that's
also on a
ridiculous.
t-shirt.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
like no, but seriously, like it's scary movies like that. It's, you know, you've got these crazy people like trying to get you in your cabin. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
Do you not have like 16 guns and body armor in your cabin? Because you should. I mean,
There's bears out here.
I
Contact
mean,
Eric, he will help you get hooked up.
yeah. I mean, goodness. Contact MCM Firearms. Shameless plug.
Shout
right
out
there.
to them, yes.
But yeah, it's like, dude, like this is irrelevant to me. Like, these people would have been dead 20 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Like, this
yeah.
is insane.
That's what I like to think. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm an animal.
It'd
be crazy.
I'm an animal.
Oh yeah, I mean,
ready.
right? You fantasize about waterboarding people in your house. Don't
We're
you?
like,
getting to a
this
side
is
of
now an intervention. All right, EricCafferty, are you okay?
Are you okay?
No, but you start talking about scary movies, and it's just like,
You just get
oh,
wound
man,
up,
like,
sure.
you just get wound
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Like, why are you people so stupid?
Seriously,
I will chop your real shoes
Oh,
like
yeah.
this. This is
the
maybe
old
that's
run
what's
and
the
trip is like, gosh, learn how to run, folks.
Yeah,
Get it
yeah,
going.
bringing it back to fitness.
yeah.
Stay in shape.
Always
shape.
bring it back to fitness. Oh man.
I love that. Right on. All right, Alex. Well, I think kind of to come to the end here, kind of wrap it all up, go back towards where we were kind of headed after we went off on those.
Before the
Circle.
scary movies.
Full circle.
We like to ask what 2 role models people have
For myself.
for yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
I would say, personally speaking, definitely my parents. I have 3 of them, so my stepmom, my dad, and my mom, right? So they're definitely my role models just because of a lot of the things that they went through, the life they were able to provide for me and stuff like that via all, you know, while all of that was going on. It's just like, they're awesome. They're incredible humans, you know?
Yeah, I've met your parents. They're pretty awesome people.
Good people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
they're definitely my role models. Yeah,
Cool.
right up there.
I like that. We've gotten a lot of parents and stuff like that around here. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's a very common answer. I'm like actually really happy to hear that as an answer from a lot of people, because I mean, you know, in being a parent, it's like that's what you hope your kid says, right?
Right.
If they were on this podcast, you're like, oh, I hope I've done set a good example and, you know, been a good
Yes.
influence.
At least picking good men.
right.
Influences.
Teach you. I've taught you everything that I know. Go be free. Spread your wings.
Spread
Right.
your wings and fly.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
it's been a pleasure. This was an interesting
That
podcast
was
for me.
all over.
We went
good
all
time.
over the
It was
place,
a good time.
from Marvel, medical mediums, scary movies, some strength and conditioning, all the good
You'll
stuff.
get plenty of
All
nuggets
the-
in this episode.
Plenty of
that's for
nuggets, but yeah, if you guys, anybody's interested in personal training, getting stronger, hit up Alex. We'll get all the links on there. Alex is a fantastic trainer. Like I said, he's been working for us since 2019, and it's been honestly nothing but a pleasure.
Thank you.
He's
Appreciate that.
definitely on time, which is important, and great at working with people.
Yep.
Great knowledge base. He knows a lot more than he lets on sometimes. So, hit him up, especially if you're interested in powerlifting. It's a huge passion of his.
Yes, I love it.
So yeah, let us know. Give us some comments. Give us some likes. What's the mantra? Like, comment,
subscribe. That's right.
All of that business. And also feel free to reach out and shoot us topics over for the podcast. We'd be happy to talk about all of the things that the people want to hear.
I mean, this was a glimpse of all of the things. Just this episode, we're willing to talk about anything.
Yeah, we're anything. So anyway, thank you, Alex, for being
you for
on.
having me.
It's been a pleasure, and we'll catch you all next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Powerlifting Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. For more content like this, follow Eric Cafferty and the Mecca Gym on all social media platforms.